is Sheila Nielson, and I was a librarian for, well, I still am a librarian, almost 24 and a half years now. And I think most librarians are authors at heart because we love books so much and we love a well-told story. And I feel like many years of watching children check out books, I often saw certain books that kids would ask for and we didn't have a lot of, like mermaid stories was one of the ones that I decided to write because I saw lots of kids begging for new mermaid stories and we just didn't have a lot of them at the time. And so I ended up writing one and it got published by Scholastic. So it was kind of a fun librarian right into writing. It kind of goes hand in hand a little bit. I also am an artist. I went to school for illustration and I love drawing, but I also love sculpting, especially in miniature. I collect dollhouses. I have 25 dollhouses and counting. I also collect dolls, which kind of goes into the book that I currently have coming out. So that's a little bit about me. When I was young, I was terrified of the dark, and I had a lot of imagination to spare, a little too much, I think, especially my mom would have thought that. And I kept them awake a lot of nights, my parents, because I just couldn't sleep. And my mom finally one day said, you know, you should be using that imagination to think of stories rather than monsters. And that night, I started thinking of a story, and I have never turned back. And 6th grade was when I wrote down my first story, and I've been writing ever since. And I love it. As I said, I went into librarianship, and that's because I loved writing and I wanted to know more about it and to be as close as possible to more stories because I just love them so much. My first book was published by Scholastic many years ago, but it was called Forbidden Sea. It was a mermaid story. It was very exciting for me because all my life I had grown up ordering books from the book fair or from the Scholastic book order, and the first time I saw my book in the Scholastic book fair order, I cried. It was just the most amazing. And then we had it on our shelf at the library, and I would see kids check it out and they wouldn't even know I was the author sitting in front of them. And it was so fun. My favorite memory was the time I was walking down one of the aisles putting books away, and there was a little girl just engrossed in a book, and I went by, and about 20 minutes later I went by and she was still just standing in the middle of the row reading this book, and I'm like, what book is that? Because I always like to know what, you know, as a librarian, what's the good book that kids enjoy? And it was my book, and it just made my heart so much. I couldn't believe that I had finally gotten a book published. And then of course I published a sequel to Forbidden Sea, and then now I just had a new book come out called Lifelike by me, and it is a story about, well, it's a ghost story, basically. It's about a girl who, after a tragedy, comes to live with her aunt in a haunted doll museum. So yeah, bad right from the start. And it has, of course, haunted dolls, but it also has an unsolved murder mystery going on, and a thirst for revenge that just doesn't die. And so it's a good spooky one if you like good spooky stuff this time of year. I love books. I love everything about it. I love the magic I see in children's eyes and young adults, because I write for young adults. I do middle grade as well, but I love to see, especially because you start to lose young adults as they get a little older. And I love that. I love seeing that magic when that book captures that child and makes them realize they want to read or want to read again. Because I know there was a period in my life I stopped reading, and I didn't read for many years, and then I rediscovered books, and it's just that magic. And I guess I want to also create that magic. It's just beautiful, and I don't ever want to stop. It's just a wonderful thing to see, either as a librarian or as an